Okay, good afternoon all. This is Dr. Mahesh M. Onjeri, Assistant Professor from Department of Management Studies, SDM College of Engineering and Technology. I welcome you all to today's online class on supply chain management. This class is conducted for MBA semester 4 students. Today we are going to discuss Unit 5, Chapter number 7, Demand Forecasting in a Supply Chain. So I repeat, today we are going to discuss from Unit 5, Chapter number 7, Demand Forecasting in a Supply Chain. Okay. So I hope you have referred the PowerPoint slides which have been sent through Google Classroom. Okay. So before we make a beginning to understand the role of demand forecasting in a supply chain, let us briefly review our news from Times of India. So it is from Times of India. April 25, 2020, page number 9, the Business Times column. Intel pulls forecast on uncertainty. Intel withdrew its full year sales forecast, citing significant economic uncertainty caused by COVID-19 pandemic. So I hope we know Intel Corporation, so undisputed market leader in the processors for personal computers. Okay. So it has made its sales forecasting for the full year, but now the company has withdrawn its full year sales forecast. The reason being economic uncertainty caused by COVID-19 pandemic. So due to the present COVID-19 outbreak, so most of the business activities have either slowed down or closed down, and the demand is also very minimal. So due to these reasons, the economies of most of the nations or global economy is slowing down, and demand is going to decrease. So whatever Intel has forecasted, those forecasted figures will not be possible now. Then sales in the current period. Sales in the current period will be about $18.5 billion. The Santa Clara, California-based company said in a statement Thursday. Analysts estimated at $18.8 billion on average, according to data compiled by Bloomberg. Okay. Then at the time, data center owners have responded to a surge in video conferencing, social media use, and movie streaming by stocking up on pricey Intel processors that run server machines. So the demand for these servers, which are used for video conferencing, social media use, and movie streaming, though they are increasing, but those trends fueled a 14% increase in PC related chip sales in the first quarter and a 43% gain in the company data center division. But okay. In the report, the chip maker, the company Intel, said it expects weaker demand from government and corporate clients. So the demand from these two target markets, one is the governments of different countries as well as state governments within a country, and corporate clients. Okay. So in the second half of 2020 is going to be very weaker. So the reason we know already. Then the second half demand picture is more uncertain. The second half demand picture is more uncertain. Chief Executive Officer Bob Swan said during a conference call with analysts. For Intel's PC chip, PC is personal computer. For Intel's PC chip business, the economic slowdown will outweigh demand from the work from home trend. So the demand for servers that are required for the work from home trend, which include video conferencing, social media use, and movie streaming. So that demand will be far lesser. That demand will be far lesser than the demand for processors for personal computers. Okay, so that is what the company said. Okay, So now couple of things, okay, what we need to understand here. So most of the professional organizations prepare a demand forecasting, okay, demand forecasting before the beginning of the financial year. Now this demand forecasting, okay, is basically considered, okay, to take many decisions. For example, scheduling production, okay, ordering of raw materials, what level of inventory needs to be maintained. So these all decisions are basically dependent on the demand forecasting. Hence, if the demand forecasting is more accurate, okay, the supply chain cost will be lower. And if the demand forecasting is not very accurate, and if the error from actual demand and the forecasted demand, if the error is very large, okay, the supply chain cost will be quite higher. So with the brief analysis and understanding of this news from Times of India, Intel pulls forecast on uncertainty. So we'll move on to the next part. Okay, so of the chapter. So what we are going to learn in this chapter or discuss in this chapter is basically the role of forecasting in a supply chain. So though briefly I discussed along with the news, characteristics of forecasts and components of forecasts and forecasting methods. Okay, there will not be numerical problems. So it's only theoretically we are going to learn the types of forecasting methods. Okay, so we'll make a beginning with the role of forecasting in a supply chain. So before that also, what is forecasting? It is an estimation of the customer demand for a company's products, or it is a prediction for the demand for a company's products. It's called as the demand forecasting. So what is the crucial role, okay, played by forecasting in a supply chain? Okay, so as you remember, supply chain, okay, has different stages from suppliers of raw materials to consumers. Okay, different stages, as well as a different, okay, major activities like order processing, transportation, warehousing, and inventory. So forecasting has influence on all these decisions as well as across the supply chain. The basis Forecasting is the basis for all strategic and planning decisions in a supply chain. So if you remember strategic, these decisions are long term in nature. Okay, for example, like the supply chain design, planning decisions involve for a period of basically 1 year. So forecasting is the basis for all strategic and planning decisions in a supply chain. Forecasting is used for both push as well as pull processes. Okay. Then some examples of decisions upon which forecasting has its influence include in production scheduling. For example, okay, quantity to be manufactured during a given period, type of products to be manufactured during a given period, inventory level to be maintained during a given period, and aggregate planning. This all is done only based on demand forecasting. Say for example, a very simple example, hypothetical you can consider. Say if the company, an automobile company estimates demand for its car, let's say 1,000 cars, okay, for a given period, 1,000 cars for a given period. So accordingly, the company has to schedule production. Okay, it should assemble or it should keep itself ready to order for the components and spares for 1,000 cars. Okay, for example, 5,000 tires, okay, and 1,000 batteries plus some safety stock. So accordingly, the company need to schedule production and maintain the level of inventory. Marketing, sales force allocation. The demand forecasted can be split up throughout the geographical regions, which are represented by sales representatives. We call them sales territories. So depending on the demand forecasted, the company can allocate the sufficient number of sales reps to each geographical area or each sales territory. Promotions. Here you have learned it in semester 1 marketing management. We are talking about sales promotions. So what should be the timing of sales promotions? New product introduction. Sorry, it's not production, new product introduction. In finance, plant equipment or investment. So if the demand is going to, if the increase in demand is a permanent one, if the demand, I repeat, if the demand in the, if the increase in demand is permanent one, it means the company has to invest additionally in expanding its production capacity, for which purpose they need to arrange for investments of the capital projects. So the company should know well in advance how much investment it should require. Okay, and that is again based on forecasting. Budgetary planning, then personnel. So workforce planning, for example, to manufacture 1,000 cars, what is the number of workers required? Okay, so when the company is going to hire, okay, so if any layoffs, if the product has seasonal demand during the off season, so how many number of employees will be laid off? Okay, so this way all of these decisions are interrelated and they are based on demand forecasting in a supply chain. So I hope the concept is clear. What is forecasting and how forecasting plays a significant role throughout the supply chain. Now we'll move on to the second part of the chapter, characteristics of supply chain. Characteristics of characteristics of forecasts. Characteristics of forecast. Since forecasts are estimates or predictions, they are always wrong. So I repeat, forecasts are always wrong. Okay. Okay. Generally, the actual demand and the forecasted figures does not match. Okay. Therefore, forecast should include expected value and a measure of error. Okay. Say for example, when you say expected value, so how many cars the company may sell? So you can say in the range of 500 to 1,000 cars, or in the range of 800 to 1,200 cars for a given period of time. And a measure of error. So by what percentage the demand forecasting can be deviated? Say for example, plus or minus 10%. For example, plus or minus 10%. It's just a hypothetical example. But this is what we mean, expected value and measure of error. So remember one thing, forecasts are always wrong. It is so because demand forecasting, okay, the actual demand for a product depends on a variety of factors, and each factor is interrelated and they have different influence on demand for a company's products. Second characteristics is the long-term forecasts are less accurate than short-term forecasts. So that's why in the forecast, okay, time horizon is important. It is so because why long-term forecasts are less accurate, as the duration of the forecast increases. Say for example, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, if you want to forecast. Okay, Boeing company and Airbus company, okay, which are the world's largest aircraft manufacturers. So these companies make a forecasting for 5 year, 10 year, as well as 15 to 20 years. Okay, so longer is the duration of the forecast, the accuracy of the forecasting is less, because okay, so longer the time period, higher will be the uncertainties. Longer the time, higher will be the uncertainties. That's why the demand forecasting is less accurate. Okay. Then aggregate forecasts are more accurate than disaggregate forecasts. So repeat, aggregate forecasts are more accurate than disaggregate forecasts. Okay, say for example, if we consider GDP of a country, gross domestic product of a country, it can be forecasted more accurately because it is done across the sectors, like a primary sector, secondary sector, as well as tertiary sector, and in each sector different industries, and within each industry different companies, so that GDP forecasting is an aggregate one. But whereas if you come for a company products, okay, so a company demand forecasting is less accurate, okay, than a GDP forecasting. And within a company, let us say if the company has 50 products, and if the company makes a forecasting for individual product, that forecasting will be much more lesser accurate. So aggregate forecasts are more accurate than disaggregate forecasts. These are characteristics. Then there is a concept called the bullwhip effect. Okay, So if we consider a traditional supply chain like manufacturer to distributor, distributor to retailer, and retailer to customer. So in this type of distribution channel, the distance between company and customer is very large. The company is not directly in touch with its customers. Okay. So in that case, if there is any change in the demand at the customer level, okay, first it reaches to the retailers, then it reaches to the distributors, and third it reaches to the company. But the change in demand, okay, as it goes further or climbs up further the supply chain, like from customer to retailer and retailer to distributor and distributor to company, that change in demand gets magnified or it increases more than actual. Okay, and the company comes under a false assumption that the increase in demand is a very large one. Okay, so that effect is called as the bullwhip effect. So bullwhip effect reduces the accuracy of sales forecasts. So in that case, definitely if a company which is selling directly to its customers, its sales forecasting will be more accurate than a company which is selling through intermediaries. So these are the characteristics of forecasting. Okay, now we're moving on to the next part. So after this, I will pause and I will take your questions. So the third part of the chapter is about forecasting methods. So as I explained in syllabus, there are no numericals. It's only theory that we are going to learn. You can expect a short question. Okay. So the forecast first are qualitative methods of forecasting, estimating demand or predicting demand for a company products. The first type of forecasting methods are qualitative in nature or qualitative forecasting methods. So primarily these are subjective, rely on judgment and opinion of the experts or top level managers in the company like managing director, chief executive officer, okay, or chief marketing officer and so on. Okay, so based on their experience and judgment, okay, so these top level managers or experts, okay, give a forecasting on the demand for a company products. So these are subjective in nature. Okay, so they are qualitative forecasting methods. So these are unscientific methods of forecasting, but okay, where they are basically used in case of a technologically breakthrough products. Okay, so first to the world product. So in case of those products which are introduced for the first time in the world, okay, for such products, since there is no historical data and there is no trend, okay, so in such cases, okay, qualitative methods are used which primarily subjective and rely on judgment and opinion of the experts and top level managers. Say for example, when internet was invented for the first time or softwares were invented for the first time, okay, so what would have been the demand? So in the absence of historical data, so qualitative methods are used. Then second type of forecasting methods are time series methods. Time series methods makes use of historical demand. Say for example, if a company is working in the industry for since last 30 years, the company will have the demand data on demand of the last 30 years. Okay, so it can use a trend analysis method and calculate the demand for next year. So it is purely based on historical demand, but this method doesn't take into account, okay, the unforeseen circumstances, okay, which may have influence on demand. Okay, say for example, so this year itself, most of the companies had already prepared their annual demand forecasting, according to which they might have started procurement, production, and marketing. But now, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, okay, the demand has come down drastically across the industries, across the globe. So whatever demand forecasting is done, it is not going to stand true. That is the reason why, if you remember, okay, Intel has withdrawn its full year's sales forecasting. Then third type of forecasting methods are causal, CAUSL, causal methods. Okay, causal methods use relationship between demand and some other factor to develop forecast. I repeat, causal methods use relationship between demand and some other factor to develop forecast. Let us say, for example, a company like Castrol, which is undisputed market leader in lubricants in India. Okay, it can consider the number of automobile registrations in the RTO office. Okay, a company like Castrol, for example, consider the number of automobile registrations in the entire country during a given period of time. Okay, and based on the number of automobile registrations, Castrol can predict the demand for lubricants or engine oils for the coming period. Definitely, if there is increase in the number of registrations of automobiles, definitely the demand for lubricants and engine oils is going to increase. So that is how causal method works. Then the fourth method is a simulation. Okay, so in simulation, the company can combine time series and causal methods together, for example. Okay, so it can use historical demand as well as it can make use of, okay, causal methods. And the company need to consider what will be the impact of a price promotion. For example, if in case of Castrol, okay, so what example I gave for causal method is the company can estimate demand, the company can forecast demand for its products based on the number of automobile registration in a country in a given period. Okay, based on which the demand for company products can be forecasted for the next year. So Castrol can also consider what will the impact of price promotion. So if Castrol, other than the demand forecasted using causal method, Castrol can also consider, okay, if the company is going to introduce any sales promotion offers, okay, to keep it very simple, I'll say 50% off, for example, or buy one get one free, to keep it simple. So definitely it will have a positive impact on demand. The demand is going to increase during the offer period. So this also can be considered while estimating the or forecasting the total demand for a given period for a company. So that is simulation method. So we learned 4 methods of forecasting: qualitative, time series, causal, and simulation. Okay. So now I am going to unmute your audio. Only those students who have a question, please okay, ask your question, and immediately after which you mute your audio again. And those students who do not have any questions, please keep your audio muted. Those students who do not have questions, please mute your audio. Those students who do not have any questions, please mute your audio. Okay, any questions from students? Okay, any questions from students? Akshata, do you have any questions? Santosh, do you have any questions?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Okay, so I hope you don't have any queries, and the concepts were easy to understand. Okay, now I'll move on to the next part of the chapter. So please continue to pay attention. I'm going to mute your audio. Okay, now basic approach to demand forecasting. So how a company goes ahead and estimates the demand for the next financial year. Okay. So if you want, you can consider them as steps, or basically this is the approach adopted by companies generally to demand forecasting. So how a company goes ahead and does demand forecasting. So they include, first, the company tries to understand the objective of forecasting, why it is forecasting its demand. Second, it integrates demand planning and forecasting. I repeat, it integrates demand planning and forecasting throughout the supply chain. Third, a company identifies major factors that influence the demand forecast. Fourth, forecast at the appropriate level of aggregation. So what we learned, the demand forecasting at aggregate level is much more accurate compared to disaggregate level. Then establish performance and error measures, okay, for the forecast. So we are going to learn them in detail now. Okay, see, after characteristics of forecast, I think I skipped one slide, that is the components or factors related to demand. Okay, so better I'll complete this part. Okay, so in next class I will go ahead with the basic approach to demand forecasting. So I repeat, I skipped this slide. Okay, so in next class I will discuss basic approach to demand forecasting, and in this class let me complete components or factors related to demand. Okay, now, so one among the factors which is related to demand is past demand. Okay, so definitely a company which is into business over a period of time, for each year, okay, the company has, okay, historical data. So what are the demand previous year, what are the demand previous to that year? So all this data since the beginning of the company, okay, the demand data or historical data about the demand is available. Okay, so definitely a company can make use of the past demand, okay, and do demand forecasting for the next financial year. So it is quite possible for a company. Okay, but only thing is the company, what it needs to take into account is the unforeseen circumstances which may trigger increase or decrease in the demand for the company's products. Okay, say for example, so I'm talking about the present COVID-19 pandemic. So the demand for masks, demand for sanitizers, demand for hand wash, so such products has gone up. Okay, but the demand for other products like consumer products, okay, has drastically decreased. So this is a very extreme example though, but again it is just given to understand how past demand is related to demand forecasting. Second factor which is related to demand is the lead time of the product. Lead time is nothing but the time taken for a supplier to deliver the goods from the time it is ordered. So time required to deliver a goods. Once the product is ordered, how much time is taken by the supplier to deliver the goods? It is called as lead time. Okay, so it is considered as a lead time. So if the lead time is longer, definitely, okay, the accuracy of the demand forecasting will be lesser or lower. So if the lead time is shorter, the demand forecasting will be more accurate. The reason already we have discussed. Okay, okay, longer the time duration, okay, the uncertainties increase, due to which the demand forecasting become less accurate. Okay, then third factor, planned price discounts. Say if a company is doing its demand forecasting and it also has some plans for price discounts to be given during certain period of the year. So during that, when the offer is given, price discount, let us say 50% off, for example, let's say 50% off. So what happens during that offer period? Okay, the demand increases. So we have learned a simple law. Okay, price elasticity of demand. Lower the price, higher will be the demand. Okay, so when the company offers the price discount during that period, offer period, the demand is going to increase. So that has to be taken into account while demand forecasting for the year, so that accordingly the company can make the production scheduling as well as inventory and orders to the suppliers can be given accordingly. Then fourth factor is state of the economy. So what will be the economic conditions? Okay, boom or recession. So if the economy is good, okay, if it is booming, it means the demand for the products will be increasing. Okay, so that factor has to be considered while during demand forecasting. But if the economy is slowing down, okay, the demand is going to further decrease. So this factor also has to be taken into account while demand forecasting. So now if we consider what Intel has said, okay, for second half of the year, if I consider calendar year, July to December 2020, okay, July to December 2020, for second half of the year, the demand is going to remain very low. Okay, so it is because the economy of the global economy has slowed down drastically. So these all factors are related to demand. Hence, these factors have to be taken into account while demand forecasting. So they increase the accuracy of the demand forecasting if these factors are properly incorporated or considered into demand forecasting. Okay, so I will end the class today because this I need uninterrupted okay class, so which will be day after tomorrow. Okay, but now for today, those students okay who have any question on this slide, components or factors related to demand, you can ask your questions. If you want to ask any question related to the news article which I discussed regarding Intel, okay, you can ask that as well. So I'm going to unmute you.
ಸೀರೆಗಳ ಬಲ್ಲ ಎಂದ ನಾನ ತಂದಿಲ್ಲ ಸೀರೆ ಗಂಗ
Okay, any questions? Krishnakant, any questions?
No, sir. No, sir.
Related to Intel news?
No, sir.
Okay. Vinuta, any questions? Vinita, can you hear me? Okay, Ashmika, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Shweta, Hotpati, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Pavitra, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, so are you sure? Okay then. So all the students, please keep reading news. A lot of news is coming related to supply chain. Okay. So you can read the news and discuss the same during the online class. Okay. So now the remaining part of the class will be discussed in the class, okay, on Wednesday. Sorry, Thursday it is. Okay. So now I'll take your leave. Thank you very much for your active participation and maintaining silence. Okay. So good day to all of you. And students of Salesforce management. Okay. So you know that the recording will be converted to a video. So immediately after which I am going to start Salesforce management. So please be ready. Thank you very much.
Thank you.